Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to show you the 5 databases I recommend you create first if you're a service provider. So web designer, branding, copywriter, speaker, consultant, coach, any service provider business, particularly for solo or small teams. But I am going to show you these 5 databases in a simple way to set them up. So I'm Lisa Williams, your Notion expert and strategist for setting up your business system, your Studio HQ, in a way that is calm, confident and creative, but yet all in one place so that you run your business day to day knowing exactly what's going on. So let's dig in. So first of all, we are on this studio page for Emma Green Geller, and this is her workspace. And she has projects, tasks, there's some client workspaces, view buttons, got calls over here, and we've got tasks down here grouped by project, and we've got a couple few views here. We've got one view on the projects. So in order to create your headquarters in this way, or you can design your headquarters page any way you want to, but to have all these pieces, you have to first start with your databases and or pages. So let me get this one out of there. So your core databases, first of all, you want to make a page that is going to hold all of your databases and pages. And by pages, I mean like specific headquarters pages. Like if you need a dashboard for a specific client or you need a dashboard for a specific piece of your business, you can do that. So you can just add a page here, but this is where all of your main databases are, your source of truth. So the first one is projects database, and I'm just going to show you each one of these minus the meetings. That's just there for my demo purposes. But the projects tasks are your two main important ones: resources, clients, and content. So content could even probably come down the road a bit, but I include that in the 5 because most often we do have some sort of content that we're creating on a regular basis, or at least we try to. So projects database. So your projects database, we go here by status. So you can have different views here, and this is where you're going to set things up. You won't come to this database for day-to-day work. You're just setting it up so that you can surface this information on whatever page you want to. So your home headquarters page, you're going to surface your current projects maybe. So you want to set everything up here first. So first of all, if I go to click on this all projects, I've got a table, and it's a little easier to see in the table. This view here was viewed, it's a board view, and it has by status, okay? So all projects, we've got our properties along the top, and I have several properties here. And then we've got the page rows for our projects down the rows here. So for your properties, you at least want to start with the status of your project. So this can be very simple, or you could add whatever kind of statuses you want. This happens to be a select status. So Notion has a status property, which will give you, if I go here to edit properties and new property and click on status, it's going to say status 1 because I already have a status, but it will give you the to do in progress complete. It kind of breaks it up here. I don't particularly use this one all the time, but there are times that I do. This one just happens to be a select property, so either one is going to work. So you'll want to add your properties. So when you click on new property, you will add your properties here based on the type. And then these properties, I've got project, I've got status, the type of project, which if I click here, you've got the type of project. Okay, so I've got the status, the type of project it is. And then the dates, you at least want some kind of date, right? I like to have a start and end date. And the paid is just a checkbox to let me know that this project has been paid for. This is kind of optional. And then a cover photo, if you want to add a cover photo, this is actually just a file in media. So you can just add a photo here that you can see I have a couple added here. That's a preference as well, personal preference. But the others, this client, tasks, meetings, and resource, these are all related properties, which you're not going to add yet because if you're building this, you're building your projects database, then you have to go and build the other databases. So you won't have these yet. We'll come back and add these relational properties when we're done building. Okay, so we're going to build our project database first, and then you will want to build your task database. So the task database, I have it's grouped by project here. You can also have a calendar. Here's a timeline, and then I've got a view for completed tasks. So these are, they're marked done. So it doesn't matter. I can view this by project. It's still a table. So it's still going to show me everything in the table, but this is just grouped by what project I'm working on, what project the task is under. So you want a status for your uh, tasks, and you can see this one is the Notion, like the standard, the default status. So this is not started, in progress, has these three statuses, and then completed. And then the due date for the task. The project is a relational property. We're going to come back and do that. So is the client. And then assigned to is a person property. So it's just a person property, okay? And if you wanted to put a no limit on here, you could. If you work with people where you might have a task assigned to multiple people, you could do that. For me, it's just me, or if it's my husband working on something. But the assigned to is who is completing this. Time estimate is optional, as well as client access. This, if you want to end up giving clients access to like a client portal situation where they can view tasks that they have access to, that would be this person property here. But again, that would come later. So really just a status, due date, and that's all I have here other than the relational properties. Now, my own task database has a lot of different properties, and it'd probably be a little overwhelming if I were to show you, but this can get as complex as you want. Your task can have priority, you can have, you can have so many things. I won't go into it all right now, but you at least want a status and a due date and who it's assigned to. So then you're going to click on your resource or add, sorry, your resources database. And resources database is super simple. I really just have the type of resource that it is. And then I have my relational properties and a created time when I actually created this resource. So uh, I've got a lot of different types of resources here. So this is really based on how you run your business, what types of resources you may have. And this is going to be your library of all of those resources that are sitting all over the place. That's where this comes in. Super, super helpful. Then your client database. Now, this can be very, very simple because you want a client database. So you are relating projects and tasks to clients, even resources to clients as you're working through projects. So even if you run your full CRM from somewhere else, this can at least be a minimal client database. So here I have my client, the type. This is if it's just going to be all clients, you really don't need a type, and their email. And then the rest of these here are relational properties, which we'll put in shortly. And then I have, if you want to put a picture of your client here or representing your client, and then the phone and position, the resource is a relational property as well. So the position is, optional to the very least. You want to have a client database that has the client's name, of course, the actual client, the maybe type, but email and phone probably. And then if you want a contact person in here, you would add, if I put a contact person in here, I would edit properties, put new property, and then I would put a text And then this would be the contact, okay? And you could probably even put a person here. This would be your contact. So this would be let me just move this over. The contact would be the person responsible for the, um, it's Rachel Green, responsible for the client, right? The company or business. Okay. So you may want to add that too. So then the last you would add is, if you're going this route, is your content database. So you'd add your content database, create it. You have the topic, the status. I have some fancy statuses here, but you definitely want to put your process. I have a lot of different statuses on my content database because I have all of my different content types. So when I'm doing LinkedIn, when I'm doing Pinterest, when I'm doing a blog, they all have some different statuses. Or I've been doing audio recordings recently. So the different statuses are there for you to follow through with your process. And then the content type, this is a select property as well. Is it multi-select? Multi-select, because I can add two. But I usually add one content type per page, like per topic here. And then if I'm going to like repurpose a YouTube video into a blog post, then I actually duplicate this and then make that a blog post. So I typically have one content type per topic. And then keyword topic is up to you. Notes, this just is a text area, and then the target date that you're going to publish this or send it or whatever. So this is a very minimal content database. This is just a start to get you looking at what you have content wise going on. Here is by status I've set up. So these are different views, of course, that you can set up on all of your databases. And if you set them up here, when you go and bring those linked views into your headquarters page or anywhere, you're going to be able to already have the views created. You can choose the view that you want there. So you want to do all of the creating back on these pages for your database. So you're probably wondering, right, all of these databases are great. How do I add a clean database? So if you just click the plus sign. So once you have let me just go here. Once you have your main page for your databases, then you will start adding your databases. And I would just add, what I typically do is add my projects. I'm just going to title them different, my tasks, etc. Okay. And then I just go here and I use the Option Command 9 to make it a page. Okay. Option Command 9 on my Mac, or I think it's probably Control Command 9 on your Windows. Anyways, now these two are pages. If I go to them, right now it's just a page. And what you will want to do is just come down here to the bottom and click database. And then it's going to give you, if you already have some databases, but just start with an empty database. And here's where you will start adding your properties. So you just click add property and then start adding the properties that you want in this project's database. Okay. And then here it'll look like this with a little database. Then you can change the icon. But that's how I go about creating all of my databases. Then once the last thing you're going to do is go back and create those relational properties so that they all connect. So I go back to my projects database and I'm going to start putting in my relational properties. Now, I'm going to delete the client right here. Okay. And we're going to add, and you do the exact same thing for all of your databases. So you would go to edit properties, new property, and we're going to add a relation, and we're going to add it or connect it to the client database that we've made. So this is the client database that I have in this headquarters, like this area. So this demo client database, and I'm going to put a two-way relation. And now this right here is just, I'm going to erase this and just put client. And then I'm going to erase this. I'm going to write in here and put projects. and then add relation. So you can see now here is my client, and the only thing I did was change this little icon um, to this little right here, client. Okay, you don't have to. I just do because I like to add little emojis, little icons to everything. That'd be too much sometimes. But anyways, so here's my clients. I'm just going to move this over here so you can see it. So now when I click on my clients, here are all my clients from my database. And then this is Stone and Sage again. And then this is Claire Morgan and Rachel Green and Phoebe. Okay, so now I have all my clients there. Okay, so I've got my projects. I don't know why that keeps, there we go. So I have my projects, my client relation. Okay, and then you would go through and add relation. You can see where this is connected to the task database. And then the resource. You can see this is connected to the resource database. So you will start with your projects because that's where the majority of your relations are going to be. Then you go back to your tasks. Next is your tasks. You should already have the project relation there. And then you will go through and add your others. So client, and I could also add right here, if I add the relation property, and I want my resource database. So I'm going to search for my resource database, and here it is, and a two-way relation. And I'm just going to type resources, and then here is tasks and add relation. Okay, so this is adding the relation to my task database if you want it there. I don't really, it's up to you. If you want this relation in the task database, you can add them all and then decide later that, okay, well, I don't really use this that much. I can just delete that resource property. Okay, so you'll want to do the same thing for each of your databases. Make sure that they're all connected to each other. And then when you come back to your main page, you will have this page here at the bottom, but then you'll be able to go through and set up your linked project view. So this linked view of my projects database is only showing the information that I want it to show. And then you go through and do that for all of your databases that you want here or your pages. But once you have those databases completed, you will be well on your way. Oh yeah, let me move that to trash. You will be well on your way to creating a headquarters that gives you peace of mind. So I hope this has been helpful. Check the description below for all of the links and resources. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.